Veliki pozdrav svim gledalcima Sport kluba i Sportlajta. Imamo večeras jednu posebnu emisiju. Imamo goste koji nam dolaze iz inostranstva i svakako najavljam nešto što možda do sad nismo vidjeli u Sportlajtu, jednu zanimljivu kombinaciju ljudi iz sveta glume, fudbala, sve je tu izmešano. Da ja ne bi vama puno oduzimao vremena, da odmah i predstavim moje goste. U studiju je poznati glumac Tamer Hasan, koji je igrao u brojnim ozbiljnim ostvarenjima, od Batmana, filma Football Factory, Igra prestola, tu se pojavljuje. I što se tiče sportske strane, nju predstavlja Mark Birčam, koji je nekada bio fudbaler Millwalla, Queen's Park Rangersa, mnogih još drugih klubova, poznati što je neobično uveo Como u seriju ove godine, to je prošle godine. I had to make this introduction for our viewers in Serbian. So maybe at the beginning, thank you for sharing your time with my viewers. And maybe to explain what is this combination you two have as friends, as business partners, or how does an ex-football player and a manager, football manager, and an actor
become friends? Yeah, it's quite funny.
What are you doing together, and what are you doing in Belgrade?
It's a very unlikely combination or partnership, to say the least. But we've been friends for many, many years. Mark has always been a footballer, and always had the pedigree of footballers from his father and everything else. I might speak for him. I'll let him speak for himself in a minute. But myself, I was never an actor to start with. But then I become an actor, become successful in our fields, and then for maybe 8, 9, 10 years, we've been trying to do something together in football. I have a big love of football myself as well, and we've been trying to acquire a football club or get involved in football, and here we are.
Mark?
Yeah, I suppose...
You're going to talk about your friend now.
Yeah, I'll talk about my friend. Our friendship goes back to being in my Millwall days, with being down there in South London. Tamer's from South London.
And a Millwall supporter.
And a big Millwall supporter, so we linked that way. In them days, I used to have a few nights out while playing football, as it was the English way back then. You played, you drunk, you played, you drunk. So we used to frequent same nightclubs and pubs.
Well, the ones I used to own, they used to come to. I used to own nightclubs and restaurants.
You also owned the nightclubs
restaurants.
So we owned the nightclub, which was close to the stadium, so we used to always go to there. So, and that's where our friendship built.
So what was it, not just a habit, but a rule that after a game you have to go to the pub and
No, you had to. Like, in our Mill day, I remember, if you was out 4 players or less, that was drinking. If you had 5 or more, it was team bonding. And back then, we used to go out drinking probably 2-3 nights a week.
And does the Premier League function like that today?
Absolutely, no, of course not. I was in the era, I made my debut, was it 96, 97? And that was the era that foreign players used to come in, and diets used to change, and sports science used to come in. And so I was in the era where it sort of changed, and you learnt to do it the right way. And now that...
Maybe that was the right way.
That's what I was just going to say, is that I think your way is the best way.
Yeah, no, I was lucky to be in an era where you could... You wouldn't be judged as much now. So being a coach and having the players that I used to look after, social media and camera phones have killed it, because a player only has to be out for 10 minutes on the camera phone, and he's public enemy number one.
It's a whole different thing now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So what are you doing in Belgrade?
Well, as you said, we've looked to probably acquire a football club before in Europe. We're looking to maybe get to doing one in England, but being Serbia, I've had a good knowledge of Serbia. My friend, when I was at school, he was Yugoslavian then, and was a big Red Star Belgrade fan, so we always kept an eye on them. My dad, being a footballer, always knew that the old Yugoslavia was such a hotbed of football, and we've come over here to try and invest and acquire a team here in Serbia. So look, we've been looking around. It's looking really good, because, as we said, a country that's so passionate about football, you have to have that. That's the main thing.
For me, I just love Serbia. I've got a brother here. I love the Serbian people, the Serbian culture, and then when the opportunity arose from a friend of ours, Goran, that we can looked to acquire a football club, soccer club here. We just couldn't think of a better place for me to come here. And more than that as well, we want to try and put Serbian football more on the world map. Unless you're in football at his level, we just see as supporters, Serbians, Balkans, Russians, all of this side of the world as strong, solid players. And for us, there's more of a, we want to kind of bring what Ryan Reynolds has done with Wrexham. We want to kind of try and bring more players to the club, try and bring more players through Serbia and put them on a world sporting stage a little bit more.
And and get our celebrity type friends involved from the acting world and from the football world to try and bring them here.
That's interesting.
And bring it here and work it in a club.
So this is serious.
Yeah, no,
we're really serious. We're really serious.
We've looked at it for quite a few years. We've been to other countries in Europe, but we really feel like Serbia is the country for us. So hopefully we get something done quite soon.
But I heard you have some activities within your business, acting and film, with your friend.
Yes, we do. I was here last year, was it? Last year, we was here last year promoting a dear friend of mine, how do you pronounce it? Aykula Shark.
I'll help you, Goran.
Yes. Our relationship goes back as far as mine and Mark's. We met many, many years ago, which was quite funny. I was playing charity soccer, and I was very loud and strong, and I was an ex-boxer, and I just liked to fight and stuff, and I was always aggressive on the pitch. And something happened, and our relationship, the way we met, something happened, and then we was getting outnumbered, and then he just come and helped us, and then I looked at him and I said, "Who are you?" I'm Goran, I'm Tamer, and that was it. We just become friends and brothers for decades.
And there's a movie now being
so made. Now, but his life is very, very interesting. One of the most interesting lives I have probably ever witnessed and experienced. I was part of his life growing up, but the backstory of what he did here is a best-selling movie. So we've got a script written for him. He has his lead, which is a Serbian. What's the lead's name? Who's going to play? Oh, we can't tell. Okay, spoilers. Okay, so we have a Serbian lead, and we're going to scatter them with sort of credible Hollywood and European actors. And we're pressing to make his film here in
Great.
Serbia.
So many activities. It's amazing. Football, film.
But we love it here so much. We're just trying to grab work everywhere so we can stay as long as we want.
Okay,
as long as we can.
Okay, then I'll rewind a bit this show. Go backwards. Because I want people also to learn something about both of you. And let's go into the childhood. You were strongly connected with sports. I know that you were boxing. You mentioned this. Yes. Sometimes getting also into trouble because of that.
Yeah, always getting
But you started as a kid. Did you play football or you started as a boxer?
No, for me, growing up next to Millwall Football Club, I mean, literally it was 2 streets down the road for us. I think us growing up, from our times, I mean, I was born in the 60s and we grew up 70s, 80s, 90s. Every kid wanted to be a footballer. Every kid wanted to be a professional footballer, and that was what we aspired to be. But I was a little bit smarter than my brother, so I got into a high school, got a scholarship, got into a high school, and they never had any football at that school. It was just rugby, cricket, and athletics. So I always had an aspiration for playing football, and then when I left school at 16, I started playing very late. I think I was okay. Well, great was it? But I was all right.
Target man.
I was like Hakan Şükür up front. Just give me the ball in my head and it's going to hit the back of the net. I was that guy. I was very quick, very wiry. And then the boxing side of it was when we was growing up. There wasn't a lot of foreigners in London. It was the West Indians, the Cypriots and the Irish, and we just kind of got attacked quite a lot. I don't have no I'm not sorry about it. It's who I am. So
that's the way you grew there.
Yeah, but that's the way we grew. But if you look at me now, I'm a big, imposing man. When I was small, I was like a little chubby Turkish kid with loads of hair. So I used to get bullied a lot. And then my mother, bless her, she put me into the boxing gym, and I was very rebellious. I wouldn't back down. I'd always fight and get beat up. I wouldn't, so my mum just said, look, let's channel some energy into the boxing gym, and that's where boxing started for me, which did calm me down. And the great thing about when you're a boxer, especially when you start having bouts and you start winning, people tend to leave you alone. It was. I think my mum was very clever.
The voice goes.
Yeah, I think my mum was very clever for the foresight. She was like, well, this kid's not going to back down. He's got a big heart, but he's very small. So let's get him into the boxing gym. And then when I started sort of winning some junior fights, people
so thanks to your mum, she tried to save you, actually.
Yeah, she saved me. She did save me. So, and then people think, oh, leave him alone, he's a boxer, he's not lost a fight yet. And it was that kind of thing. But
well, I spoke from like we're both working class London.
Yeah.
You either had football, boxing, or you'd go into the criminal side of things.
Fraternity.
So it would get, that was your choice, football or boxing.
Football, boxing, or criminal fraternity.
Yeah, so that's just
you chose football.
Yeah, I did, thank God.
Yes.
Yeah, so
he's a good boxer too.
Yeah,
he's a good boxer.
But no, I had to stop boxing because I couldn't dodge punches. I kept getting hit too often. So that was, I had a good punch.
How did you at that time? Now we're talking about kids. They have organized football schools.
Yeah.
Everything you have to take them there. How did you start playing in South London? Right? You said
South East London.
South East
It was
London.
South East. I'm West London. So
did you play on the street or?
Yeah. So my dad was a footballer. So technically, I was treated like a professional footballer at 9. It was eat the right stuff, go to bed, just think about football. So I was
You were drilled.
I was drilled. Every one of
That was
my family. You're a QPR fanatic. You don't get a choice. Like we live near the stadium. So your whole life is football, and they push you down that way.
Will you please tell them the story? I'm really sorry, but you have to hear this story. When you say a club supporter, our friend is Arsenal, Red Star. This support for a club is nothing like you've heard before. You're going to hear a story that you're not going to believe, but it's very, very true. Please.
I can't wait.
Oh no!
But tell her who you are.
I left Millwall and I signed for Birmingham in the Premier League, and they was a Premier League, but Queen's Park Rangers come in for me, League One. So I managed to turn it around, went to League One. But my ex-wife, was wife at the time, she was a Chelsea fan. And
Rivals.
Okay.
Really bad rivals. So in our wedding vows, I made her denounce Chelsea, and she would never speak.
She had to do that.
She had to denounce Chelsea. I wasn't going to marry her.
Yeah,
seriously.
Really? No, he went
and
down.
she had to denounce her support
I
for
can
Chelsea.
understand that.
She thought I was joking, but it got to the morning of the wedding. I was like, no, it has to be done.
That's a great story.
Brilliant, right.
And
I
she
still to
accepted.
this day, I still to this day, it just fascinates me.
Okay, yeah, here we have like Partizan Red Star, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So when you said that you're a Red Star supporter,
And she's married.
I wanted to quit the show because I'm on the other. No, I'm kidding.
But that's a game because Partizan beat QPR in UEFA Cup.
Exactly.
In the record score.
I remember I was at that game.
Goals.
I was in high school.
Yeah.
You won 6-2 in London.
Because I went to that game because it was at Highbury because we couldn't play at QPR because of the plastic pitch. So we had to play at Arsenal and we won 6-2.
It's
then
one of the most memorable games I remember in my life.
It's
we lost 6-2
for me, but
and then we thought that was it. We were out, and then I remember it was in October. I think they played. It was a nice evening, not usual for October, and we're like, let's go, come on, let's see. And then 1-0, 2-0, 3-0, 4-0, and we eliminated you.
Yeah,
but then we lost 5-0 against Vidot in the next.
I spoke to players. I spoke to players because I was younger. I think I was only 9 or 10. But I spoke to players for that game, and they said it was the most intimidated they've ever been in the stadium was at the Partizan game.
Yeah. I was one of those who intimidated. Okay, let's. You're an actor which had really some exceptional roles. Here, people are very connected to the football factory, to this movie. It's like some kind of a cult because of the fans of everything. And you played for Millwall, so there's a story about fans and everything. And we remember all the problems that you had at that time with let's say hooligans. So how is it today? There are a lot of questions about this, but let's start with that period. How realistic this was in the movie?
The movie was probably the most realistic film, not a documentary film, around hooliganism and organised hooliganism. If you think about it, it's called The Football Factory. You don't see one football in the whole film, do you? So it was, and we had the guys, because I knew a lot of, the football thugs, because I had nightclubs and restaurants. I used to frequent the places, and I knew the sort of the head of the gangs and stuff, and I understood how it worked. And it was always away from the terraces, as you see. There was you know, organisers, the head of each group would arrange a meeting point.
Practically, you knew a lot about this before you started acting. That this was surrounding you.
I think this was tailor-made for me. It was like one of my first jobs. There wasn't much preparation I needed to do for it. But football, I mean, look, football violence before, years ago, you'd remember yourself, you'd see it on the TV. And you'd see in the terraces, people fighting and attacking each other on the terraces, and then that stopped. And then what happened was with football hooliganism, why it really slowed down was because of Millwall Luton. There was a big, when the Millwall fans wrecked at the Luton Stadium, the FA Cup, it was so bad. And that was the first time, I think it was Margaret Thatcher was in charge.
Yeah.
Margaret Thatcher started giving out big prison sentences because before football hooligans wasn't sort of serious. It was just guys having a fight in the street, police breaking out, and that was it. There was no weapons or nobody was getting really hurt. And there was no sort of vandalism at the time. And then what happened was when she started giving 6, 7, 8, 9 years prison sentences, then everybody went, whoa. Is this worth it?
Do you think that you needed a woman to do this?
Well, absolutely. She was one of our great prime ministers until she went crazy and took all our houses off of us, right? But apart from that, yeah, it's all, listen, for me, women always do the right thing. Women are always more stronger than us. Women are always more sensible, more focused and disciplined than us in life in general. So, yes, it was great that a woman was empowering.
Maybe she was not so involved in the whole football thing and culture and fans. Like, you know, she was just normal, like, give them a prison sentence, that's easy.
Yeah. But she was great at deterrence. But what people don't realise is that when we did a European press tour and we did Q&As, and what we always wanted to put across with that film, and I like to put it across now, it should be a deterrent because it looks glamorised. Millwall Fred, the character I play, when he turns up, everybody's scared of him, and every sort of guy, weak guy, strong guy, wants to be that character. And a lot of characters I play, people want to be that guy, the gangster, the playboy, blah, blah, blah. But the deterrent for us, what we would put across is what my character did to Danny Dyer's character at the end will eventually happen to you. You will eventually get seriously hurt. You will your life is always being threatened. I understand that the adrenaline rush of being, you know, especially if you're an island race, it's territorial for you and you want to own that territory. It's what you do when you're an island race. But so we always put it across as a deterrent, not so much as entertainment or glorify, well, I just said a word, to glorify football violence. It wasn't a glorification of football violence. It was always trying to be a deterrent. But people look at it, they like it, they think it's...
So it stopped then, or it was less...
Well,
no, it stopped. It has stopped. It's not what it used to be.
It's stopped now because it's not a working man sport anymore in England and the Premier League.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
Too much money to go there. Like you can't, when I was younger, at 14, 15, 16, if I wouldn't have been a footballer, I probably would have been
sitting next to me
with the hooligans. Because it cost you £10 to go to the games. Now it's like 55. So,
or even, do you remember half time when the terraces? Those open the gate, we used to get it for free.
Yeah.
Well,
so
when we was growing up, you pay first half, 10 minutes into the second half of the game, they'd open the gates and we'd all just go and watch the game. So yeah, you're right. It's a rich man's game.
You don't see
people
too
just
many
don't want
kids
to
there.
do it. No.
It's hard with it. So.
And plus, the prison sentences are still there. They haven't changed the prison sentences, and they'll ban you from football for life.
The sanctions are the same. Yeah.
Sanctions are the same, maybe even more, because now they'll look at. It did start getting into people using weapons. I mean, and picking up chairs, vandalising pubs and restaurants, and using weapons to attack each other, especially in Europe. And the great thing about this side of the world is police are zero tolerance. Like, if you're going to come here and play games.
It depends. I wouldn't agree completely because it seems that there you solve the problem. Here we have problems with the extreme group of fans that are still fighting and not just that, trying to have influences in the society, which is not normal for a regular football fan.
Sure.
You have that in Italy also. Like,
I know from my time there in Italy.
So you don't have that kind of fan presence or hooligan presence in England that they can, get a more favourable job from the community or...
But talking about jobs, what I know...
Are they organised in that way today?
Yeah, I know. No, but because what happens is, I think here, the fight is outside the stadium, it'll be in the tube stations or the bus stop. hooligan side of it in the UK was away from the terraces, away from the police, away from the radio, away from the crowds. It was
fair in a way.
It was,
like, you know, they were between themselves. It was
between
like,
themselves.
They didn't put in danger other people.
No, they wouldn't endanger other people. They'll find a barren land, a field or somewhere, do what they got to do. Whoever goes that way, they win, and then they. But in the week, they used to be friends. They used to.
Here we have a problem that they try to transfer this into their influence in the society, in having financial benefits, other influences, and other things.
I understand what influences you're talking about, but even with hooligans, judges, lawyers, doctors, teachers. Don't think for 1 minute it's just underprivileged kids that have got nothing to do. These people used to come along for the adrenaline rush, for the fight. So it's the whole of society. So
well, that's the phenomenon of football.
Phenomenon of football, and the adrenaline rush of the battle.
You can be a university professor or an ordinary worker. It's the same.
And then at weekends you just want to go and have an adrenaline rush and maybe a release of a fight in a contained environment where there's no weapons, tools, how it used to be. But a lot of things have changed. You're right. There's other influences influencing football clubs and the fans and society. You're right. Which is quite sad.
But it's interesting. You told me that football in England was like a workers' class entertainment. Let's say one of the rare they could have in life. And today it changed a lot. So, how are your emotions with the football you once watched and how it looked in England and? Today, the league that is multinational, extremely rich with clubs
I think that's
and players.
Why I got to go back to probably, I don't know, it's me harping on about it, but I prefer the Championship than the Premier League.
A lot of people here also like to watch the Championship.
Yeah, I like the Championship because it's more realistic. You've got a lot of homegrown players in there.
It's got a lot of grassroots.
And there's not the four that's going to win it every year. Every game's quite similar. So, and it's more realistic English football. The Premier League is a product that they've built up. I was probably my generation of players. We grew up to be footballers and win the FA Cup. It was never the league. So when I was younger, the FA Cup was twice as big as the league. It was everything. It was, you had the whole day of it. It'd be on TV from 9 o'clock till kick off at 3, and then afterwards. So I suppose we built that fantasy of I had was the FA Cup. Now this generation don't even take the FA Cup seriously. So, and there's a lot of players now don't support football clubs. So in my day, when you come through, you always supported a football team, but you get these professionals now that are coming through that have never supported a team, never followed a team. So it's hard to get that connection with them.
Yes. Let me also go back once more, but Millwall is specific. The club and the fans and everything. It's like something that they never won something. They were never the top team. But
as Del Boy says, it only falls in horses.
But it's a cult in a way.
Yeah, it is a cult.
You played for them. You tried to play, and you were a fan.
It's a special club.
QPR's playing Millwall.
Yeah, we're going back Saturday.
We're going back Saturday to watch the game.
It's QPR v Mill, so I'm taking him to QPR. But yeah, funny story. My dad was the youth team coach at QPR, so I was at QPR from 9 to 15, and he sold me. He got rid of me to Millwall at 16. I was heartbroken, but the type of player that I was quite an aggressive player. He thought it was a perfect fit at Millwall, and luckily it went there and worked. And Mill, if you ever play for Mill, you have to be mentally strong because you could be losing at half time and get absolutely booed and slaughtered by your own fans. But they turn up for the big games. They're a rare breed, and I've seen a lot of big players come to Millwall and can't perform because they can't deal with the crowd. It is a unique experience, and we do get. A lot of foreign fans do come over from Serbia, from Holland, because it has such a reputation. To go there and see it firsthand is special. The old Den was very special. Yes, if you ever went there, the old Den was. And then when the new stadium come along, like if you can experience, Millwall's probably one of the only teams that really loved the FA Cup. They do. They specialise.
always get a player
There's always always an underdog, and if you can go to like Millwall and FA Cup game, it's very special.
We got to a final once against Man United, didn't we? Played in Wales.
So I'll put the end to this story about fans and everything. Sebastian Coe was my guest here.
Seb's lovely.
Yeah, yes.
Head of the Olympic
he
Committee.
told me
I
that
know
he
Seb.
was also he was still performing, but he was in the cabinet for
Chelsea.
some kind of the advisor. No, but before as a still competing athlete, he was an advisor in the Thatcher cabinet at that time. And I asked him the same question about the hooligans, and his answer was very simple. He said, police and judges.
That's it. Well, exactly what we said.
And cameras, more cameras.
Yeah, exactly.
More cameras to catch up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll ask you as an actor with a connection. I mean, there is a connection. I had a lot of actors here also, our actors, being guests, and we found a connection with sports because it's also you have to perform, you have to be competitive, you have to be strong-willed, a character, everything. There are similarities in these two jobs, being an athlete and an actor.
A lot of similarities, especially when it comes to discipline. They say a footballer is only as good as his last game. An actor's only as good as his last film. Because fans of football and fans of film, and if you think about it, the only two things that bring the world together is football and film. In the cinema, films are global, football's global, and food, but that's another story. But the discipline, the commitment, and people think what we do is glamorous. Trust me, it isn't. It's not glamorous at all. You get up in the morning, you prepare yourself, you work hard, and especially if you're playing an athlete. If I'm going to play a boxer or something, there's a process of training, there's a process of discipline, food. These guys go through it on a daily basis. We get breaks. That's the only difference between us. But I think the commitment's the same. With a film, the fans are very sort of fickle and they're very forgetful because they'll go, oh, Tamer, have you seen the film The Business? Or have you seen this? Tamer was great. You can do as many as you can. It's like a game of snakes and ladders. You roll the dice. You hit the ladders, you up, and then all of a sudden, just before you finish the game, you hit the snake's head all the way back down again. And people just don't care. And I think it's the same with football and athletes. Wayne Rooney or Mark Birčam, whatever, they're scoring goals. The minute they stop scoring goals, get rid of him. Who is he?
Yeah.
We don't care. So I think the similarities are there when it comes to this.
But you didn't try to do some acting roles? Or?
No.
Oh no, he's coming with something. I'm easing him in slowly.
Or we're waiting for something.
We're easing him in slowly.
Invite me a special role.
But you transformed to a manager. It's a whole different thing from being a player.
Yeah, it is.
You were in a lot of clubs. The last thing was Como. It's a very interesting experience, and you managed to put them in Serie A? Or?
Help get them promoted to Serie A first time.
How did you come to Como?
It was my
Italian food.
Yeah.
Well, it is one of the best areas to live in, for sure. Yeah.
When I went there, it was halfway through the project. My really good friend Dennis Wise was CEO there, and I've known Dennis for many years. And he convinced me to go over there, so he didn't have to convince me much. But it was a funny small club, Como, beautiful area, more known for a tourist hotspot than a football team. But yeah, with the project we managed to do it.
No, when Mourinho was in Inter Milan, he chose to live in Como. He didn't live in Milan. So just explain why you made this decision.
Well, they're quite close, aren't they? There's only like 40 minutes.
Roy Hodgson lived there, Paul Ince lived there. A lot of the Como was more of an Inter town than a AC Milan town. So yeah, beautiful area, and that we managed to get up to Serie A. It's great to see a little club up there. Fantastic Indonesian backers. They put a lot of money into it. Look, I'm not saying it was just our skills as being coaches. You need money to go up. And yeah, something I look back, I'm fondly brought Cesc Fabregas to the club. I helped Cesc through his coaching badges. The FA let me do that. So now Cesc is fully qualified and now the manager. So yeah, I have a little bit of pride in that as well.
Great.
He's been a little bit. He's a lot more than just that.
You're modest.
He's been a bit modest. No. He's the guy, and I've been around Mark, and I have a lot of connections in football, and Mark will leave one club, or he'll have a fight with someone and get paid and go when he's had enough. But I've always been around him, opening doors, never managed or benefited from his career or his earnings or anything, because we're brothers. But Mark's the guy that a club will call when they're getting relegated. Now you got managers that are always great, and I'm going to say it, but if you've got an open checkbook and a team that's worth $1 billion, your life's a little bit easier. I think. But then when you've got somebody like Mark Birčam, who a club, whether it be Ireland or Serbia or Montenegro or whatever it is, and they go, can you please come and save us? He's the guy that saves you. And I believe that is really special. That is something people want to play for him. He's great with a club. He understands his sport. He understands people more than anything. I don't think he's ever lost his rest for him. So he's the guy that they'll go, I think more times they go, come and save us than take us up, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So he's that savior.
Yeah, so then a question for both of you. It's like, we know that money is nearly everything, but not everything in film and in football. Is there still a possibility that with a good story, with a good screenplay, with not a big budget, or with a good talented players without a lot of money, you can make something, or is it just idealistic today?
No, yes and no. You don't need money, but you need talented players or talented actors. For me, with football, don't matter what country I've been in. I've been America, Caribbean, as I said, Italy. You need a structure. You need a work rate, team spirit, and you need some talented players that you can get the best out. But you've got to believe in your leader, whether it's a director, producer, whoever it is, whether it's the manager or technical director. If you've got players or actors that want to play for you and perform for you, then you've got a great chance of working. But you need players that have that talent that you can bring out. You can't have players that are not good enough. You're not magicians, but you've got to create a good working environment where players want to be there. They believe and trust in you to get the best out of it.
Us as actors, we have a saying, if it's crap, make sure you pay us a lot of money. If it's great, we'll do it for nothing.
I think that was the motto when I coached the QPR.
If it's crap, just make sure we get paid loads of money, because we know it's never going to hit the silver screen. If it's brilliant, we'll do it for nothing.
Yeah. Well, it seems you're successful in
making choices.
For me, it's interesting to have a person like him who's so successful in acting, in sports as a young fellow, boxing, then in business also. I heard you had the restaurants, nightclubs. I heard him coming to some of those clubs when he was a player.
Well, I'm actually sitting on that.
Are you also in this some lottery business now?
Yeah, well, I'm probably, I think I was told I'm one of the first, I don't like the word celebrity, but public figure or actor that sits on the board of a NASDAQ listed company, yeah. So yeah, so there's that side of me as well. Sometimes
how do you make all this?
Do you know what it is? It was quite funny. My kids, me and him. This is why we get on, because we're very 100 mile an hour. We're just, our brain is just a minefield, and we couldn't have it any other way. My son was about to be my son-in-law, Luke Crosby, who's the captain of the Scottish rugby team. He's with my daughter, and he took a day with me, and he was like, come back home, and he was exhausted because we was going there, me, and he's watching me close the deal on.
He's younger than you, of course.
He's 27. He's married. He's going to be married to my daughter. But he's sitting there, and he's like, Baba, and I'm doing this. I said, right, quick, let's go. We go to this lunch. Baba, we're doing this. And, I'm on the phone, and he just sat for. It was like 9 hours of non-stop work. And people say to me and him, how would you do it? And we just, first and foremost, we have responsibility. We have children, we have families, we have mouths to feed, so we have to keep going. But secondly, I don't think we could be any different, could we?
No, it's a mentality.
Yeah, and we're not exhausting to anybody, because we're not on. We just ourselves. We overload ourselves with things to do to fill the day up.
You too.
Yeah, no, it's just a mentality. Whichever way you look at it, you've got to try and get the best out of any situation, and it's the same with us. With whatever work we do, look, you never work a day in your life if you
like what you're doing.
Yeah,
of course.
if you enjoy it.
People seem to like us as well.
So you're hard-working people. It's something that is interesting because, as you said, people, I don't know, they see you acting with Richard Gere, with Liam Neeson, with Nicolas Cage. These were all the people that you spent some time with and made some movies. Yes,
yeah, wonderful.
Yes, but it's not just the glamorous thing. It's that you have to work.
It's not glamorous. This is my point. The only time we get to have a little bit of glamour, and this is why I think singers want to be actors, actors want to be singers, because when you're on the stage and you can feel the energy of the crowd, it's unbelievable. But when, at the beginning of my career, I was so busy, I didn't even get to walk the red carpet at the premiere because I was on another job. That's really the only time you get to kind of really enjoy your public, and it's glamorous.
Yes, and people like some trivia to hear also. So, like all these guys they mentioned, Richard Gere, Ralph Fiennes, Nicolas Cage, the actors you made films or a TV series with, they function in the same way, I suppose. That it's not.
No, I really need to put this across because we are just men in a job. We still have the same problems as everyone else. We still have the same families as everyone else. We still get up and go to work. Yes, we're very lucky. I think we don't have it. It's not a job; it's a privilege. We understand it. But I had a conversation with my driver once, and he said, "Oh, I'm such a big fan. I'm really overwhelmed that I'm driving with you." I said, "Why?" He said, "Because, you know, your job." I said, "Hang on." I said, "We both had the same job." He said, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, I'm a public servant. You're a public servant." "Oh, no, no." I said, I said, "Hang on. You drive the public, I entertain the public. So we're both public servants." And he kind of just looked in the mirror and said, "You know what, you're actually right." But the way I am with people, I mean, it drives him crazy because I stop and I love people and I speak to people and they want a picture or something, I ask them, and then I give them time because it's more difficult for them to ask me than me to give it to them, so it's a gift. And then people say, "Oh my God, I can't believe how lovely you are in real life and how accommodating you are. Why don't you have security? Why don't you have this?" When I came here, I just went and sat with the pubs and people look at you, and sometimes even gas stations, you know, on the motorway, I'll stop and I'll grab a burger or grab a coffee, and I'm sitting there, people going, "No." And I'm like, why? Why no? Why can't I be here? Do you see what I'm saying? But we are absolutely normal people. I mean, you get some. You get some idiots, you know what I mean, that are rude, and more idiots than not, but, you know, it's just a job. And to be fair, I won't harp on about it. My family keep me grounded because when I'm on set, I have an assistant, voice coach, driver, everything's done, it's great. And then I get home and I sit on the side.
They start yelling at you.
Yeah, I get home and
he starts talking to me like his assistant.
Yeah, and then
he does.
I do, but you just get used to, not because I'm divish, and I say to the wife, you know, I said, "Make me a cup of tea, will you?" She says, "Do it yourself."
Yes.
I'm like, what? So they get your family.
The same question for Mark. Did these big football stars today change from the times before? Like, are they on the ground or they a bit?
Different from
flying.
From my
from my day.
I mean, you know a lot of them, of course. You have a lot of.
For my day, it was a lot easier because of no social media and no camera phones, as I said, but I struggled to come to terms with the coaching, with the mentality of players. One, a lot of them now can't take any criticism. So in our day, like manager will shout you all the time. They can't take any criticism. You got to talk to them differently. You got to interact with them differently. Technology.
I'm sorry for interrupting you, but some of our famous coaches today, basketball or football, they told me that they spend more time in talking psychologically with players, trying to convince them in something than giving orders as it used to be before.
You've got to try and get into your players and try and get the best out of them any way you do. I struggle with understanding why they don't love football. Some of them don't love it. It is a job, and they're just good at it because, look, you look at England, what we're so fantastic for is the Christmas period. Like we play 4 games a week sometimes while the rest of Europe's off. And some players would moan, "Oh, we've got another game," where I just couldn't understand.
Instead of enjoying
it's the best job
they're
in the
pissed
world.
with having to play for Christmas.
Because that time eventually runs out.
But I think it comes from my generation where you grew up to play for a team and win the FA Cup. Where now this generation grows up to be famous. And have the lifestyle of a footballer without actually putting in the 100% work to be a footballer. So I think it's come to that, but I think that's a generational thing. It's not just
back in the day, Mark, you had to earn your shirt.
Yeah.
You had to go up and look on the board, am I in, and you have to earn your shirt. And now, if a club pays for you...
Do you think that Alex Ferguson would be successful today?
Absolutely not. He wouldn't be. He wouldn't last 2 years in a job. One of the best ever. I think Mourinho's absolutely one of the best ever. That's why he struggles now, because he's had to change. But there would never be an area, because Alex Ferguson, as good as he was, he would be classed as a bully now. He'd be bullying his players. He ruled by fear, but was one of the greatest managers ever. And you look at any other managers.
So how do we conclude this? Is this something that is bad or good for sports?
Yeah, no, it is. But
or just things change?
I think we need to change it. Like, I'm really big into academies and producing players, but it's just not about technique and skill. You need to have an academy, but teach them how to be men. Because some of them come from, a lot of the kids now come from broken homes, don't have a father figure in the house, so don't actually know this is what you do, this is how you do, this is how you deal with disappointment. So I think it's just important for the academy or the football club to bring their children up playing the right football, but also having to deal with disappointment, because the best footballers that have a long career deal with disappointment the best, because 65% of your career is disappointment. Because we've always known people down the pub, oh, I could have been a player, but I injured my knee at 16. Don't you think I injured my knee at 16? It's just dealing with bad situations, looking positive mindset, and actually wanting to win. I know they say it's like you got to be a man, but it's that type of mentality where you got to deal with disappointment. Yes, you do have to play with injuries. In our day, I think you play 75% of the time with injuries. So we're losing that type of character out of it. I think it will go full circle, and then the academies will start putting this back in and get the right mentality of player.
You have to add something to this, or
they're thespians, they're right.
No, you see the transition through managers, like what Mark said. You see the transition through managers. You watched it as you're growing up when players started back-chatting the manager, and it just got more and more and more and more and more, whereas before, you wouldn't.
Have you had that with producers, though? Producers that
but producers, yes, you can. But a director,
yeah.
No, you can't. No, with a director, you discuss it. There's never, and you scream and shout with producers, because that's what they're there for. Because if something's not right or you're not happy, that's your complaint department. But with a director, it's got to be calm, and the director literally runs that set. He drives the bus. He has to be the calmest, the coolest, and deal like a football man. Deal with and actors. Trust me, they're freaking emotional, man. They really do go some, because we're all mad actors, creatives.
I know a lot of them.
Right, so they're all emotional. But no, we never ever, to this day, we never, and it's quite funny, the way the industry's changed with us as well. We was rock and roll. We would finish work, we'd go in the trailer, get the dialogue in, and go out on the drink and have a good time. I delivered some of my best performances hungover, I was still drunk on set. But I did a TV show, the film Snatch, Guy Ritchie's film. They did a TV show of it, and we did 2 seasons of that show in London and in Spain, in Malaga. And the kids were so robotic. The creative process, Mark, was not even there. Like some of these new kids, the new millennials.
New actors,
new actors. But some of them have gone on to be huge stars, like Lucien Levenscount, who's in Emily in Paris. He grew up in my house. And then you've got Phoebe Danova, they've all gone on to be huge stars. But I remember sitting there, and they're going to me, because everyone calls me Unc. I'm always playing a big brother role. I'm always looking after them and bringing the kids around me and taking care of them. Oh, do you think if I did the role this way, it will be better? And I'm like, Princess, listen, speak to your director. Oh, no, it's okay, I don't want to speak to him. So I've had to call the Spanish director who was doing that block and say to him, you're losing your actors. What do you mean, Tamer? I said, go and speak to your actors, they're terrified of you. Because the kids, if a director shouts behind the camera, it affects the kids. Do you see what I'm saying here? And I just said to him, you've got to separate. So with football and acting, they're a lot more timid, a lot more scared. And we're a dying breed. You know, us at our age, we were rock and roll. We had a good time. You know, we really had a good time.
Sounds like good old days. And good old days are changing. Okay, we have to come to the end because we also have some obligations. I'm enjoying this conversation. I hope we'll be able to repeat it.
We'll come back and do it again.
If you buy a club or whatever, is it a secret now, or you have some preferences?
We got some options.
We got some preferences, but we're going to do
something. An exclusive that you are very, very serious about getting a football club in Serbia.
Very, very.
There's no if, it's a when.
Yeah, when. We're
definitely going to do something.
We're looking at at a couple of options. We're looking to invest in a team and hopefully
And when it
start a really
happens,
good journey.
when we
We're coming.
sign,
So then we'll have you here then.
100%.
we'll come back and actually give you the whole blueprint of what we
Okay,
want to do.
at the end, let's say, as an actor, make your choice of your favorite footballer. And that it's not Mark, of course.
Maradona.
And vice versa, your favorite actor.
Favourite actor?
Same.
Tamer, yeah. Margot Robbie. I'll start to Margot Robbie straight away.
Margot, of course.
Okay, thank you a lot for being a part of this show, and maybe at the end an advice for a lot of young kids watch this show, and
Sure.
I always like to send them some messages. We were talking about the young footballers, young actors, but so what do you say to?
You want me to go first?
Okay, yeah.
As an actor, I'm not going to go into the whole believe your dreams and all that. When you get there, be disciplined, be smart, be polite, be prepared. If the fame hits you really quick, don't take advantage of it. Because when you get to here and you fall, it's impossible for the journey back up. That's all I've got for you.
Mark?
Mine would be, for any of the footballers out there, you've got 1% chance of making it as a footballer. Now, I got told when I was younger, and I thought, I'm going to be that 1%. And if you're going to be that 1%, you've got to make sure you're doing everything more than the other 99% to be a footballer. So if you just because you've got some good skill doesn't mean anyway that you're going to be a footballer. If you're going to take it seriously, you've got to be super focused. Only 1% make it.
I'd like to add to that. Do you remember my son? He's the godfather to my son, and my son was training all the way through Mark's guidance from Crystal Palace as a kid, and all of a sudden we got him to Portsmouth, and he signed a pro, and he was like 15, 16 or so, signed a pro, and he went, Dad, I've made it. You haven't made it. The hard work starts now, and I think it was Mark that actually said to him one day, you haven't gone out into the auditorium, the Gladiator auditorium, and you have to perform every day in front of these fans, because if you don't, there's problems. So,
okay, we connect sports and cultures. That's why these books are here. But they're in Serbian. So I'll avoid giving you this. Every guest gets a book as a memory of being part of this show. But since you're planning to come to Serbia and have a club, in the meantime you'll learn some Serbian, and we'll give you all the books, so you'll improve it.
And we'll bring you some books from where we come from next time.
Okay, thanks a lot. I really enjoyed this,
Thank you so much.
More important, I think our spectators did. So, gledalci, stalno smo gledali jednu izuzetnu emisiju. Bio je ovo Sportlight, gledali ste Tamera Hasana i Marka Birčama. Vidimo se ponovo sledeće nedelje. Doviđenja.